Hi. Okay, hi. I am Chris, and I am becoming eruditely wise. And I'm coming to you today because I'm watching a documentary right now. I actually caught it at the very end. It's on Free Speech TV, and it's called Wiebos-war. And here, I'll just read you what the thing is. If you haven't seen Wiebos-war, it came out in 2011. It's following a man by the name of Wiebo-Ludwig, a member of a small and isolated Christian community, wages war on the oil and gas industry by barricading roads and blowing up oil wells to preserve their isolation. So, they are a big Christian cult. Okay, I'm not gonna give them any props on that. However, they do have rights. They are human beings. They're out in the isolated areas. They have wells that they get their water from, streams that they like to play in and bathe in. And the oil and gas industry, surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, has polluted their area of living. And so they've had evacuations, they've had animal die-offs, they've had stillbirths, they've had cancer outbreaks. For over years and years and years, this community has struggled through all these protests and everything else. And it's towards the end of the documentary where they're barricading a road again, and the cops show up to keep the peace. Now, the reason I'm making this video isn't really about all of that. I am bringing this video to your attention because I want to talk about cops, morality, and behavior. Okay, now, everywhere I've seen on video with all kinds of protests for good human right things that any human being you would think, wow, every human being should be on this right now, making sure this is justified, that this is right, that this doesn't happen anymore, that this won't ever happen again, or, so on and so forth. So, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, and the cops are being they're being respectful to these Christian protesters who are blocking the road, and they aren't getting all like offensive or anything like that. However, what's his name, Ludwig, Mr. Ludwig, Wiebo-Ludwig. Seems to be a very smart man, and he had a stack of papers, documents, written out explaining what's been going on, why they're there. It's pretty much just information, and they're trying to tell the police officers, listen, we know you're here to protect the peace, and we just want you to understand why we're here. That way, you're not. There's no misunderstanding of why we're here. And none of the police officers would take these papers. Now let me explain to you again. This is in an isolated rural area. I'm not sure exactly what state or community or cities are nearby, but it is isolated. Which means you're talking about like these hillbilly cops, right, showing up to do this. Or, just cops that are very familiar with the people they live with, and they're small towns. Everybody knows everybody type of situation. Okay? And now even these police officers, who know deep down in their heart what is right, aren't accepting these papers. They're not taking these papers from these people. And they're like, okay, well, no, we're sorry, we can't take these. And then the commanding officer tells the other officers, okay, everybody, back into your cars, roll up your windows, and we'll just wait until they leave. So here's the officers ignoring now what the real crime is. I mean, the real crime is that the freedoms of water and air and land are being stripped away by corporations for greed and for money. And our law system has kind of just paved the way, opened the door, given them a path to be able to do this. And the police officers and policewomen and policemen and detectives and chiefs, and it's like they're all brainwashed. And that's what I'm getting to, because even in the rural communities, these cops they're just they're ignoring the situation. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's understandable like in a big city where it's more of a gang of cops, right? They're more of a gang or a mob, where they're just there to protect themselves. They're not really there to protect any type of peace. They're just following orders like brainless drones. But how is it that these people out in the rural areas who grew up with, a different sense of living, a different way of life, how is it that they are so easily subjected to just ignoring the facts and ignoring the people that they're supposed to be there to protect, the people that have been in their communities for, a long time? How is it that it's so easy for them to ignore that? And whenever you look at any type of protest on video anywhere, you see the exact same thing. Look at the Occupy Wall Street. You had so many peace-loving people trying to say to the police officers, please, why are you not helping us? Why are you beating on us? Why are you doing all this nasty, crazy things that was so unnecessary? The spraying of pepper spray, the beating of batons, the arresting and tricking of thousands or hundreds of people in New York City across the bridge. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. The shooting in Oakland by the police officers to the protesters. I mean, how does this happen? I mean, if you think logically and statistically, then this isn't supposed to happen, because if you take all these human beings, you got to be able to, even the ones that are just on video. That's a lot. And none of them are showing any type of feeling. None of them are showing any type of remorse for their actions. All of them are acting like the people who are trying to fight for human rights are the pieces of dirt that need to be trampled on. But that doesn't make sense, because those are human beings, and human beings, especially ones that go out to get a job to protect things and to protect people, how can they act like that? It doesn't make any sense. So it got me thinking. I saw this, and I've seen it plenty of times. And I've had this epiphany before, but this time I felt like really talking about it because it needs to be addressed. Why is it that police officers can do this? All those people on the documentary were trying to do is hand the police officers information. Okay, now sure, somebody could say that maybe inside the police handbook that during these times no police officer is allowed to accept what they would consider propaganda. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe because it's considered propaganda. But still, the point of the whole argument still remains the same, is that these are human beings. And okay, so yeah, they have a good job. They're a cop, right? But they're a cop because of a reason. And usually the reasons are to protect people, right? And to protect the law. Now, if the law says don't accept propaganda, then they're protecting the law on the behalf of the laws set in place for their own administration in the police department. Those aren't the laws of the people. Anybody can hand anybody else documents telling information about something. Why is that prohibited in law enforcement? Because everything needs to be controlled. The cops have to be controlled in a way to where their feelings don't interfere with the truth. Why aren't their feelings allowed to interfere with truth? They are human beings. If the truth is that a corporation is committing a crime, then those police officers should be able to act on their feelings and know that the truth is there and go arrest those motherfuckers. But it's not happening. And why is it not happening? It can't be because they're scared to lose their jobs. There's too much. Everything else is too important. Okay, I can understand the majority of police officers, yes, my job's too important. I have a family to raise. There's nothing else out there for me. Okay, fine, whatever. But there's a lot of heroes in this world. There's a lot of people with a high ethical way of living and morality. Are you telling me that no police officers are actually that high up on their standards that they are willing to sacrifice their position in order to fight for rights? How does that make sense? It doesn't. Which leaves only one last conclusion. That our police officers, in some way, are being brainwashed. Literally brainwashed. During academy or during something. Maybe through some type of hypnosis or hidden... what's the word? When you hide stuff in plain view. I can't think of the word, sorry, but you know what I'm saying. Okay? None of it makes sense. And we have to start thinking and looking at our police officers in a different light if they can't come forward and do the right thing. Because, we don't have anybody else. So many people for so long, so many different ways, with so many different funds and so many different lawyers have tried it the peaceful way and have been like, yeah, we're going to fight you peacefully. Well, those two words are contradicting. Fight and peacefully. People don't understand that you can't fight peacefully. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to go sue this multi-billion-dollar corporation, get them fined for doing stuff that after we're done suing them and they pay, a small, tiny, insignificant amount of the actual money that they make to just shut us up, they're going to continue to go and do it again. And they continue and they keep going and they keep doing. I mean, a corporation will be sued over the same thing hundreds, sometimes thousands of times. This information is out there. I mean, it's public information. These corporations are getting away with, it's like murder. It's almost literal murder because people have died from some of the stuff that's going on through all sorts of different variables. But the police officers are there to protect them, it seems. The only time I've seen a police officer go against a peaceful resolvement is when a corporation orders them, we don't want them there anymore, get rid of them. And then what happens? Then the police officers become like the freaking bouncers to a club or something. They get aggressive, they get physical, you end up with a record, and you're the one who ends up in trouble. And all you were trying to do is protect humanity, and protect the planet, and protect rights, and protect freedom. Peacefully. And still, the cops are against us. So yes, only evidence I can think of that proves logically why this is happening is because of real, true brainwashing. And if it's true brainwashing, who is controlling it? Who's in charge? Does the corporations really have their fingers entangled into American and human society than we thought? Is lobbyists just more of a game for them and the real deal is already in place? It doesn't make any sense. If I grew up next to my neighbor for 20 years and I became a police officer and some corporation moved in behind my neighbor and started drilling and contaminated my freaking neighbor's water, and his wife had a stillbirth and his son got cancer, and he went over there to give it to him, I'm not going to go and arrest my neighbor. Why would I do that? I just lived with him, next to him for 20 years. I've seen the struggles and the pain and the deaths. How am I going to go and arrest him? It wouldn't make any sense. I'd be knocking on that corporation's door with him. right? That's what all of you out there watching this would do, right? So how can any police officer never be recorded as doing such? How? It doesn't make sense. You don't believe me? Go fucking see it for yourself. The evidence, the videos, the witness testimonies, the documentaries, they're all out there. Just waiting. Remember, knowledge is power. And by watching this, you have become eruditely wise. Again, my name is Chris. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe, rate, follow, share, whatever. Thank you. Keep living the good fight. It needs to be fought.